welcome back. And the next program I'm just so delighted to have on our show. It's one of my favorite activities in the city of Long Beach, and that's the Long Beach Municipal Band. 101 years of consecutive music for the city of Long Beach in the parks. This has been a wonderful thing for our city, and I'm so pleased to have Larry Curtis, the conductor, for 23?
23 years.
Oh my goodness, 23 years. And Bill Thomas, who's chair of the Friends of the Band, and we'll know more about both of them in just a minute. But our band has been moved around a lot because I think it used to start in Lincoln Park when it first started, didn't it?
I wasn't around when it first
started. Oh, shoot. My goodness, I remember longer than you. No, I think that's where it started. And, but it has moved around so that it's grown with the city. And Larry, I'm so glad that you're here today. And tell us about your band. Who are they?
Well, they're some of the finest musicians in Southern California. And they're the same people who do the music for films in Hollywood. And in fact, our contractor with the band, the person that helps me select musicians, does contracting for the studios as well. And many of them are members of the LA Philharmonic, the Pacific Symphony, the Long Beach.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all very, very strong professional players.
Yep, and do they like doing this?
Oh, they
in
love
the park?
it.
Is that right?
It's such an unusual situation for them because if they're working in the studio, their families don't ever get a chance to hear them play. And so they can come, they bring their families to our parks. And
the band does.
The band does, and they're there almost every night. They come with them.
And has the band always been a summer thing for the city?
Oh no! Back when it was started, actually it was started in 1909, and at that point it was thought by the city council that they should have a band like they had on the East Coast, like the Sousa Band, and help sell real estate in the city of Long Beach.
Is that right?
And the old red car train would end up, and there was a bandstand right almost at the end of that on Pine, on the beach, and the band would play. They played everywhere, and then finally in 1924, one of the band conductors at that time they hired was Herbert L. Clark, who had been the solo trumpeter with the Sousa Band. And he came out here to retire, but the city council talked to him, and the mayor talked to him into becoming the band director. And so at that time, it expanded up to about 85 members, and they began to have a national radio show. That because back on the East Coast, the Goldman Band, which was very famous at the time, broadcast nationally. So Long Beach had its own radio station, and they tied into the other systems, and we began to broadcast the Long Beach Municipal Band nationwide.
Isn't that
so
something?
It was quite a time for the band. They were playing at that time up to 600 performances a year.
Oh my!
They would play.
It was a full-time band.
Full-time band. They would have a rehearsal every morning, a radio broadcast, and then do two additional concerts during the day in the parks. And those bandstands that are still around, they would play there. And during the daytime, where families, most of the men were working and the women were staying at home in those years. And so the family, their audiences during the day were mostly women and children.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
Well, I mean, what a legacy. That's a wonderful thing.
It is.
And it's grown to be something that it still emanates what it started out to.
Yes.
It brings communities together, brings neighbors together. I don't think there's anything more delightful than to hear the music and see the little kids.
Yes.
You know, they get so carried away and they're with their parents, and they just, and it's a social time, but it's also a bringing together of people.
We feel like it's a wonderful community event. We sometimes have as many as 3 generations sitting together as a family. And I've seen, in 23 years, I've seen our audience come and go.
Oh, yeah.
When I first started, we had a wonderful little couple of people who would take up donations for the band. People would put money in to help pay for the band, and they didn't seem to have much money for retirement, so they would always come with vegetables that they grew in their garden and would give me vegetables. So I ate well during that
Yeah.
summer.
Well, it's a great community party that
Yeah.
we
Well,
look
you know, I
forward
don't- I
to.
don't-
Every summer, the whole
Oh,
community looks
absolutely.
forward to this.
I
and
don't,
it's
I
so
don't
great.
think there is any other thing in the community other than sporting events that brings that number of people together.
Yeah.
And then, but this is even more local because it's mainly the people that are from that particular area. And we'll get to the locations and your future summer activities in just a minute. But Bill, tell me about what you're doing. I know you've been a band devotee for so many years, and now you are chair of the Friends of the Band. And I don't really know about that organization, so tell me what that is.
Well, we're a brand new organization.
Oh, wow. It took us this long?
Well, we have been talking to folks. I just retired and moved back. I was in Long Beach back in the 50s. And
you remember the band?
Remember some band activities that they put on. But when we moved back, I was delighted to find out that it's now a family affair in the summertime. People put their blankets down, bring their picnic baskets, and just have a great time listening to good music. And I happen to be a fan of good music. I don't necessarily agree with some of the rap music that's
You
out
don't
there
understand
today.
that. I don't
It's not
understand.
my
It's too
kind.
fast.
And I'd rather have my kids and now my 8 grandkids come and hear good music and just have a good time. But we got acquainted with a lot of people that when we got back, we live in the 3rd District, the Alamedas Heights area by the lagoon, and so that's the venue that we would go to. And then we started talking about looking forward to getting more expansion, and what happened is because of budgets, it got cut back, and I still have my little Save the Band banner that we had to hold up at City Council to try to say, no, we've got to get this thing going. And we've talked so much about it for the last 5 years, and we haven't done anything. So now we've decided that the Friends of the Band, it's time for us to get in and contribute. So we've organized just this year, since we've got a new council, and we've got a new mayor, and so we've got new folks looking at it. And every one of the council people and the mayor I've talked to, and they are so positive on the band.
That's great.
It's such a refreshing
That's great.
conversation to have, and that was part of our momentum to
Very
get
good.
an active Friends of the Band going so that we can support. We're looking to expand from the,
For the
5
future.
weeks. We used
Certainly.
to have 8, and as Larry said earlier, you used to have hundreds of them.
I
But,
know, I
We'd just
know.
like to get back to 8, but we're trying to show that we can raise more money in the private sector.
That's good.
So that
Okay.
we can get an expansion of the band for 2016.
Well, I remember when I was more involved in the government that, and we were losing the Navy, that we had the same problem. The budgets have been so constrained for so many years that, and I was horrified. I mean, not on my watch, 90 years, it can't go away. And I knew that just in my heart that this was something that was so important to the city of Long Beach, and I didn't want to be the one that was going to let it, all of a sudden die. So I think for one way or another, it's struggled for many, many years. So I'm glad that we have an organization now that's going to be really active in keeping it
And
alive.
when I moved back here after retirement from the South Bay area, we moved back here, and you were then mayor, and we were very pleased that you were an advocate supporter of the band at
Oh, I
that
am.
time, and really helped promote it, as well as doing a good job of being a promoter of all of Long Beach around the nation in your responsibilities
great.
as mayor and the
Yeah, thank you.
mayor's committee.
Let's talk about what's coming up. I know that you used to have 8 performances a summer, and now you have 5.
We have 5. When I first accepted the position there, we had 10 weeks, and then gradually went 8, 7, 6, and then we felt that 6 was the absolute minimum in order to
Keep the
attract
band
these
together.
kinds of players, because they really play far below their regular scale in
Oh, I'm
order
sure.
to play in their band, and people wonder why, but it is the camaraderie, and it's the situation as we were talking earlier, and so they give a little bit as well, and So at any rate, it did cut back to 5, and that scared me because I'm actually having trouble keeping the same regular people on a payroll.
And where are they performing?
They're performing down at the Laguna Arts Festival in the
No, I
orchestra.
mean in City of Long Beach
Oh, I'm
this
sorry, in
summer.
the city of Long Beach.
Uh-huh.
Well, we start off with our first 2 weeks will be at Whaley on Tuesdays. And then
The first 2 weeks?
The first 2 performances will be at Whaley's on Tuesdays.
Which is a park in the 4th,
So
just right next
okay,
to the
yeah.
college.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then we moved to the Bluff Park off of Cherry Park, where they remodeled the entire bluff. We'll be out on that bluff
Oh, and
on Ocean Boulevard.
That's on
Just south of
Tuesday
Bixby.
also.
Yes.
and
Park.
that's
Yes.
the last 3 Tuesdays.
Right, and
Okay.
that's that, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be exciting with the new.
so the first 2 are at Whaley Park
Yes.
on a Tuesday,
Right.
and the last 2 are the last 3 are at the Bluff Park on
Yes.
Cherry.
Yes,
Cherry and Ocean.
Cherry and Ocean. Yes.
Okay.
Then on Wednesday night we perform all 5 concerts. So the 5 on Wednesdays will be at Los Cerritos Park,
Los
up in North
Cerritos.
Long Beach.
Okay.
Then Thursday is at Marine Stadium, and we'll that every
One Thursday, that's all?
all Thursdays, all
All
those 5
Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Ah.
And then on Friday, all 5 Fridays will be at El Dorado Park.
Oh my, that's
Yeah.
almost every night the OR for about 4 weeks.
Yes, 5 weeks of 4 nights a week, for 5 weeks. Yes,
That's wonderful.
yeah.
And the good information you mentioned about the musicians, I didn't know this until I got more involved.
That's
but
great.
The musicians work all at the same salary, at a
That's
very low
great.
hourly salary.
That's great.
And talking to them and say, "No, we're come down because this is fun. We've got our friends and
Sure,
our family
and they bring
here."
their families.
And
So-
they appreciate hearing folks clap
Yeah,
and
oh,
enjoy their
yes.
music. If they're
And they're
playing in the
looking
studio,
out at
they don't
smiling
get that.
faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
thank you both so
Yeah.
much.
I do want to mention that the concerts start at 6:30.
Oh, yeah, and it starts tomorrow night.
And it starts tomorrow night, and the second half of the concerts, all of the concerts, is an 18-piece jazz band with guest vocalists.
Oh, my goodness.
So we do both.
How
No
marvelous.
matter what kind of music you like.
Well, you know, I could talk with you guys all the time because or for much longer, but our time is up. But I'm just delighted that you're here and that I hope people see this because, you know, we're talking about next Monday,
We are.
and that's pretty close.
Yeah.
But we thank you so much for being here and for being part of the band. And Bill, thank you for starting something new, and thank you for continuing your legacy.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
marvelous. Thank you.
And thank you for being a
You
supporter
bet.
all these years,
Absolutely.
Beverly. We
Thank
enjoy
you
it.
very much. Wasn't that great? Now we're going to have a great month of July. Thanks for watching.